Hi there and welcome along to After Effects tutorials. When we last met we had a logo in progress and we were attempting to create some 3D animated effects to this. So let's see where we left off. So we had some animation going here with the wings, but there's a bit of an issue with the way that it's sort of cutting in behind the space of the base behind it. It's cutting in behind there. So what I'm going to do with this base layer now, what's this base level? So I'm going to come into here, and although it does look confusing, like anything, the more that you are exposed to this and the more that you play with it, and in fact sometimes the more you make mistakes, the more you learn. So let's not be too confused, and we're trying to get this base layer, or this background if you like, and I want to push it back in space. So I'm going to position it. I'm not going to make it any bigger or smaller, but I'm going to position it back in space like such. So it is appearing to become smaller, but it's actually going back in space, if you like, or receding. I can actually make it bigger if I like to compensate for that. And let's see how we go. Yes, okay. So now the wings are in front of the background. Okay, so now we're just going to close that up, and we're going to have a look at something else. Now we're going to have a go at the stars. We're going to rotate these stars around in some fashion. So I'm going to toggle down on my stars. I'm going to drop down an arrow, and I'm going to transform these. And what can we do to this fellow? So we've got our stars. Maybe first we might position the stars. We might bring those forward in space. See what's happening? They're jumping from behind the wings to in front of our wings in space. They're coming towards us. So I might have that so that they've got plenty of room to do their thing. Now we can, what are we going to do? We can rotate those across that axis. Maybe not. Perhaps we might change our origin point. So I'm going to get my scale behind tool, remember, or the pan behind tool. I can just push that up so that they sort of going to rotate around their middle, if you like. And let's see how we go with that. So we're going to, let's see, yes, that's better. So they're going to rotate through themselves. I like that. So I might just take it to the start position, and I'm going to check in my stopwatch and create my first keyframe, come to the end of my comp, and maybe we'll go through there a couple of times. That's pretty quick. See how we go with that anyway. So rotating, I'm going to have a look at that by hitting my spacebar. Okay, outstanding. Alright, just carrying on, let's just go ahead and look at that. I'm hitting my spacebar, and remembering hitting J on your keyboard will take you back to the previous keyframe. Pressing Command or just the letter K will take you to your next keyframe. So if you've got a lot of keyframes going on, good little shortcut to know. So we're back there, and I can see that there are issues with the rock and roll, if you like. There's always issues with rock and roll, but I think it'll work once we animate this thing. So one final thing, we might animate the base level. So the base, okay, and we're on our base, of course, and again we can see that our origin point will need to be, I don't want to rotate it through a funny odd angle, I want to rotate sort of through the middle, and it will probably be better that way. Okay, so this time we might animate the Y rotation, so along the Y rotation up in the sky. So that's going to rotate like so. So we'll come across there, come to the end of our timeline, and we might put in another keyframe there. And I'm going to say, I can of course add any figure I like here. I'm just going to put a random figure. I can add negative figures, which will mean it rotates the other way. And we've got now a 3D rotating logo that looks outstanding. So let's press the space bar to finish our playback, and we will just take one final look before we go. One interesting thing to see when you're in the 3D space, we have here on our options bar at the bottom of the composition window the ability to have several views of an object. So by clicking in here, I can have two views of this object, and this will basically give me, depending upon which view I would like to see, I'm going to go with the, perhaps currently over here on the left is the front, so I'm going to go from the top and see what things look like there. Whoops, I'm going to go front, and clicking on this other to my left, I can change to the top or any other view that I like. So hitting the space bar, we'll see that that's going on there. So that's what I can see from the top. Not too bad. We'll be looking at more of that later on, but for now we've got an animated logo, and we're going to animate that even further in the next lesson. So hope you enjoyed that, hope you learned a little bit of something, and I'll see you again shortly.